Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys liked the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not an expert to your own research. Today I'm just going to review Bitcoin, and I think that there's just not much clarification in my opinion. I think that, you know, we're seeing price form this trading range where after a quote-unquote big dump, and this was not big by any sort of, this wasn't big by crypto standards. It was like a 5% move or something like that. Yeah, 5% move, like big fucking whoop. That's nothing. Generally speaking, after some sort of big move, you see that price establishes some sort of range, and then those both ends of the range has deviation. So what I mean by that is, say you'll see price chopping around, boom, you'll hit like a big move down. Usually it's more than 5%. 5% is kind of a joke in crypto. And then you'll see what happens is after that price will rebound up and form a trading range. And the trading range will be something like this, where you'll see the highs and lows established, and you'll see both ends of the range have deviations. So, you know, you're going to have fake outs on both ends. And if you scroll down to really low time frames, this is what you're going to see here. And you're going to see this pretty much off every single big move. It's this very common price behavior after big moves. And you're also going to see this after big moves to the upside as well, where you're going to have price do something like this, where, you know, say, oopsies, there's a big move up here back in March of 23. And after that big move up, you'll have some sort of range that gets established. And you're going to see deviations on both ends. So, you know, this was the range high and this was the range low. And if you can see it here, like on the daily, this is like, you know, as I said, you're going to have deviations on both ends, where you have price trading below the range low and you're having trade above the range highs. And people are starting to get long here above the range highs because they're like, oh, you know, we have a daily close above, but then price just goes right back within the range. Similarly, as I said, big dump here. This was the FTX dump, you know, negative 25%. Once again, you saw this range get established pretty cleanly after the dump. There wasn't really any deviations here in this end. There were a few, like you saw back in December and then a little bit in November. But this type of price action is very, very typical. So you'll see this type of price action on all time frames, not just like the daily, not just on the 4-hour. And it's all going to be contextual as well. So for example, as I said, this was a relatively big move down, 5%. We haven't really seen a whole lot of that lately, and the highs and lows got established at that part to that end pretty much right after the dump, and we're now seeing deviations on both ends. So what I have here is a chart here that I made before, where I kind of highlight it a little bit, where you see that there's a multi-week floor that gets established. Again, right after a big move. So, you know, right after a big move, just like I said, you see price form the highs and lows of the range pretty quick. And you'll see that these highs and lows have deviations on both ends. So this was the low that was set back in January 23, and we saw price bounce off it many times, and we had deviations below. And then we saw quick moves back up within the range. So again, example, March 23, this was the floor, support, 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 price traded underneath it, people were getting very bearish, and then a big move up. Same thing with this here, big move back in March of 23, where lots of price trading below the range and then strong move up. So right now, where are we at contextually? We are at this multi-week floor set in late June 23, where price traded on this floor of 29.6K, 29.7K. Price chopped along that area for quite some time, and now we're seeing price trade below it. Now, what I'd like to see here is I'd like to see this be a deviation below. I would like to see price just, you know, kind of similar to what we saw back previously, where this would just be similar to these yellow bubbles where price traded below this range, and then we saw a very strong move up. However, you know, I know that just because it happened previous 2 times doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen again. I understand that. And, you know, the logical part of me actually says that the area of liquidity is actually at 26K. So, you know, 26K would be an interesting area in my opinion. It has confluence, 26, 27K has confluence with this 200-day EMA. 200-day EMA has been confluent with support areas back in mid-June of 23, as well as February, and price traded below it back in March, and then quickly went above it. So, you know, if we see another move down to this other 26, 27K area, I would expect it to be support again, this 200-day EMA, but you know, and then see price trade above it after that. But again, you know, if it's going to be similar to how we saw it back in March and June, we would see some pretty quick deviation below this range, and then, like, you know, another big move up. But again, as I said, just because it happened previous 2 times does not mean it's going to happen again. If we're looking at some sort of, you know, I don't really have super strong conviction on this being like the quote-unquote bottom. Like, typically speaking, when you want to see a strong bottom form, you want to see price chop around that area for quite some time. As I've said in the past in some of my other videos, I'm sure you've seen them, is that bottoms take a long time to form. So, you know, a strong bottom like we saw back in May, June, July of 2021, a strong bottom set in January of 21, a strong bottom set again in March of 21, a strong bottom set again in September of 21. These all take, they take a lot of time, you know, to form. But again, that's a trending strong bull market. We aren't quite there. Like I said it time and time again, I do believe that we are in a market similar to 2019 and arguably 2020 as well, without all the DeFi narrative hype, where you see strong weeks, lots of weeks of low volatility. Like, look at 2020, for example, like this entire little bit where we chopped around from May all the way to July, end of July, early August. You know, we didn't really do a whole lot. We chopped within this like very small range overall. It was like a 10-15% range where price just chopped around, very low volatility, and this is where alts really flourished. And again, similar to the August time period, just chopped around, didn't do a whole lot, and similar to October and September as well. We're kind of in that low volatility stage right now where price isn't doing a whole lot. As you can see, we're just trading within a fairly quick, fairly small range. It was a it was like a 10% range or something like that. Okay, like a 7% range, and that was that way for weeks, right? And there wasn't really a whole lot of big moves going on. So I don't really know overall, like, you know, as I said, like what's going to happen in the midterm. I still am of the opinion that like price is bullish. I do believe that, you know, we're going to see like 35, 40K in the midterm. But again, don't know if we retest 27K first, or, you know, if we're actually just going to go up from here. Of course, I could be wrong too. I don't feel strongly convicted about this. Like, I mean, yes, I have spot bags. I'm just riding from lower, and that's fine. I'm just going to sit on them for a while. But I am of the opinion that this is still a bullish market structure. If you look at it just from a purely price action perspective, in terms of overall higher highs and higher lows, I am of the belief that we are still hitting higher highs and higher lows. But we need to hit a higher low here. And one interesting thing too that I've seen of this market this entire year is that these lows have taken virtually zero time to form. As I said before, you know, good lows, they take a long time to form, but these lows that were established, these like took these were very quick lows that you know, hit the 200-day EMA for the most part and then just continued higher. So would like to see a higher low established. You know, if we do see a lower low, meaning that we see a lower low lower than kind of this 25K area, I think that you need to really start being very worried. So, you know, if we hit something like a lower low at this point, go to, I don't know, even like call it, you know, 23.5K or something like that. And then at that point we like trade up and then like hit 30K. I think at that point you really start to consider it being a total market structure shift where we hit a lower high and a lower low, and then we're just going lower. But again, as I said, it's very contextual, and all of this type of price action trading usually is, you know. So it's subjective, and it's up for interpretation. Like, I do know some people that talked about this like kind of recent high, and even though we like technically hit a higher high like recently in July, this isn't really a convincing higher high. Like, for example, the last higher high that was established back in February, back for 25K, like the 31K area was a significantly higher high, in my opinion. So, you know, this was the last high that was established, and then we hit a higher high. Contrast this to this move that we saw from April in comparison to July. This really wasn't a higher high. I mean, yes, technically it was. You know, considering like 31K, and then like there was trading like 31.8K, but again, not super convincing in my opinion. And I always knew that this area right here was like going to be a very strong resistance area. It's a supply zone, and there are probably going to be a lot of sellers, but would, you know, still be cautious. Still believe that, you know, the 35K areas are going to come, but would just be overall cautious here. So yeah, just taking it one level at a time. Still believe that, you know, Bitcoin is okay, still in a bullish market structure, but really watching where the next low is set. Anyways, going to be doing a lot more videos this week and the next few weeks. Really excited about that. Thanks so much for the support.